He won 6 SEC championships while coaching at Georgia, won a national championship there. He's a member of the College Football Hall of Fame. He's also a renowned gardener. He's written several children's books.
Hold it, a renowned gardener?
A renowned gardener.
Okay.
He does it all. He's a Renaissance man. Vince Dooley, how you doing, Vince?
I'm doing good, yeah. Everything's great except down here in Atlanta. They're not so happy after what happened last night in baseball to the Braves.
Oh, they pay attention to that stuff down there in Atlanta?
Oh, yeah, you can't help but doing that, so we're pulling for them. But that's all makes the excitement of sports, I guess.
I mean, you had 2 extra inning games for the team's point for getting in the playoffs. You had the Buccaneers, the Tampa Bay Devil Rays come back against the Yankees, and then you had the Braves again playing neck and neck with.
But that was one of the historic collapses by the Braves.
Yeah, it goes along with some of the great ones over the years. There's been others. Though I've always been a Cardinal fan, but in this case, I'm a Braves fan because I'm down here. But anyway, college football is here too, so if you want to talk about that, I'm sure.
Well, just a little bit. In that, you may know a little something about it just by osmosis, being around all that stuff.
Well, I've spent 25 years as a coach, and I've spent 25 years as the athletic director, and spent all that time in the Southeastern Conference. So I do know a little bit about at least football in this area of the country.
So 50 years at Georgia, did you get your gold watch?
Say again, gold watch.
Did you get a gold watch after 50 years at Georgia?
No, I think Bear Bryant got that when he was in Kentucky and won a championship. But Adolph Rupp, the basketball coach who won a championship, got a Cadillac. So that's why Coach Bryant left and went to Texas A&M, they tell me.
But you went from, Alabama, you were born, you played at Auburn, coached there, and then you go to Georgia. I mean, what is it there? You've been all around the South.
Well, it's just one of those unusual things that happen. You're right. I am from Mobile, Alabama originally. I did play at Auburn. Went to the Marine Corps for a couple of years. Came back and coached there. And it's just one of those things that fell into place at a very young age. I was 31. But the circumstances were such that the athletic director had the power to go ahead and name the coach. And he named me, I think, to the shock of the Georgia Bulldog Nation. But nevertheless, I've said many times that based on my qualifications at the time as an athletic director, which I was for 25 years, I would have never hired myself. But there's beauty in youth, and that was a great thing. I look back on it now and realize my wife and I were the only two that thought it was a good hire.
Now, obviously, you must have learned something playing for and then being an assistant under Shug Jordan at Auburn.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to have been in an area where there were a lot of great coaches growing up as an assistant. I got my base training under Shug Jordan, who was a great coach at Auburn for 25 years. At the same time, Bear Bryant was at Alabama. Bobby Dodd was at Georgia Tech, 2 great old legends. And I always scouted those 2 teams. I was head scout, so primarily in order to learn from them. So I think being around the influence of a lot of great coaches at the time was a tremendous help to me in my career.
Now, you've coached your entire career at Georgia. Will that ever happen again? It seems like coaches bounce around all over the place.
Yeah, I think it's it's going to be very difficult for anybody to stay at one school 25 years like I did. We had quite a few at the time. Bryant did at Alabama, Shug Jordan at Auburn, and Joe Paterno was probably the last of the Mohicans because of the way college football is. And, of course, salary is a part of that. I remember when I came, I still got my first contract. My base salary was $12,000. I had a $2,500 subsistence. I negotiated my own television contract, which actually was $100 a show, 10 shows, $1,000. So my total package was $15,500. My son, who is coaching at Tennessee, probably will make more money as a football coach in 2 or 3 years than I made in 25. So that adds to the fact that the tenures are not as long as they used to be.
But you don't have to worry about that next job. You have a little cushion there, too, financially at least.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. So they move around quite a bit, but they can make enough money that they'll be ready for the next job. But I was very fortunate to have been at one place, great school, great institution for 40 years, and I'm still there, as a matter of fact.
What do you think about all this realignment here with A&M going to the SEC, and they're talking about Texas moving?
Talking about Missouri
moving. What do you think about all this?
Well, it's happened before, perhaps more so now. Our conference at one time, when I went into the conference, was 12. Georgia Tech and Tulane were in the conference. They both got out. And then we were 10 teams, and then we added 2 more. We added Arkansas and South Carolina, who have been great members of the conference. So it's been that way for 40-something years. And now A&M, which will be a tremendous member of the conference, both from a football athletic standpoint and also from an academic standpoint. Now it's that the conference finds another school, because I think it's important to have the balance in order to have the East-West alignment and the championship games that we have in our league.
How did the SEC rise to such prominence? I mean, season after season after season, they're the best football conference around. Is it the athletes, the coaches, the water?
Well, athletes, of course. I think we've been very fortunate to have a lot of good athletes, and everybody plays outdoors most all the time, all year round, and that may add to it. And there's great passion in the Southeast, as there is in other places, of course, but I think that even more so in the Southeast and all of these where football is, it's almost like a religion, I guess, in some respects, on Saturday. And you've got stadiums, all of them have stadiums very, very close to 100,000. Tennessee is 105, I think. Alabama's over 100. Georgia's at 94 and could go more. Auburn about the same way. And so all of these schools, football has long been important, but more so now than ever before.
You had a pretty good running back in Herschel Walker. Do you think there was ever a better running back in college football than him?
Well, I think as a pure running back, and I'm prejudiced, but I really think he is the best because he had, first of all, world-class speed. I mean, it was incredible, the speed that he was gifted with. And secondly, great strength. And the third element, which was an intangible element, was this incredible self-discipline and mental toughness that I think separates him from all of the ones that I've ever seen. I've had some that had better moves. They could stop, start, twist, and turn, and all of that, more so than Herschel, but never one that combined all those three things in one package like Herschel.
Now, when you were recruiting him, did you think to yourself, here's a guy that can lead me to a national championship?
I thought this was a player that was going to be great. I wasn't sure how fast he was going to be great, but I knew he was going to be great because of the fact that because of that speed. But he was playing in the smallest division in the whole state, a little town called Wrightsville. So I didn't know how long it was going to take him to make the adjustment, but I can assure you it took him a short period of time in the first ball game, and he exploded in that ball game against Tennessee, and then that team went on to become undefeated and become the national champions that year in 1980.
How hard is it to win a national championship?
Everything's got to fall into place, and it is hard, but somebody's got to win it. So it's that particular team that's really good that particular year it all falls into place. There's such a thin line between teams and between coaches. And I think that's another reason that football has been really good in the South. There's been a long tradition of that. There are great coaches around the country, but certainly there's been a lot of them here in the Southeast. But it's got to be that year in which it all falls into place, and you're not having repeat championships as you used to have. That is, 1 year after the next. You don't see that now because there are just too many good teams. So it's got to be that year that the ball bounces just right in a particular game that will make the difference.
Now, was Herschel the best player that you coached?
Yeah, he was the most productive player that I coached. And I thought, and I do think, that if he had stayed his fourth year, and circumstances prevented him from staying his fourth year, but if he had stayed, he would have set a rushing record that I think nobody in the country would ever have touched. Even now, when he only did it for 3 years and all the others that are ahead of him did it for 4, he's still maybe 6th or 7th all-time rusher, and he did that in 3 years.
I see that you're a Civil War buff. How did you get so interested in the Civil War?
Well, I enjoy history. I always have enjoyed history, and when I was coaching, I audited classes. One of the great things about living around a university, if you got a curiosity about anything, you can satisfy it as an expert on everything. So I would go, even when I was coaching, and maybe take a course in military history, leadership, or something that would kind of stimulate my mind that I could relate to football and to the next.
Okay. I think we lost him. You still there?
Horticulture, gardening. Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. And so I've done that. And then after I retired, I started writing some books on different things.
Okay. How'd you get into gardening?
Well, just by going and sitting in on a class. I was always curious about trees and plants, no background, so I'm an inspiration to anybody that wants to be a gardener or to write a book on gardening. So I sat in on a class, and one class led to another that led to another. So it's just fun. There is a great joy in learning, and I enjoy learning. And I always said it's a great way to go to school. You go in there, listen to the lectures, take notes, and when the exam comes, get up and wish all the students good luck. You don't have to take them.
You don't fall asleep in class like you did when you were in college, huh?
Well, absolutely not. Wish I could go back. I would have been a much better student now than I was then.
Did you have a rose named after you, or you developed a certain kind of rose?
Well, no, it's not a rose. That's misleader. I've got a hydrangea named after me. It's called Hydrangea macrophylla Dooley, and then there's a camellia also named after me. And that was thanks to Dr. Michael Durr, who's kind of the guru of woody plants and trees. And then the camellia, the National Camellia Society, is down around Fort Valley, Georgia, and a couple of bulldog fanatics who love camellias decided to name a camellia after me.
So do you develop these strains of flowers, or how do you get a flower named after you?
Well, I think it's just more by knowing somebody
right people
other than me, being an expert hybridizer. It's just that people appreciate, the people in the nursery industry appreciate my interest in horticulture, and so from that standpoint, I've been a good ambassador for them, and I think in return they've named the hydrangea and the camellia after me.
Okay. Do you grow vegetables at all?
Well, my wife keeps saying that, and my good friend said, "Why don't you grow something you can eat, mostly ornamental?" I tried to start doing it, and my wife has not been impressed with the vegetables that I've grown. I'm going to stay with it, I can assure you.
Just keep Dennis the Menace out of your garden.
Yeah, we got a lot of those around, I can assure you that. That's a constant problem.
And you write kids' books, I see, about the Georgia Bulldog.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun book. It's and it's always popular. There are two of them called, one is How About Them Dogs? And that's Harry Dog's journey during game day. He goes to the bookstore and tailgating and a dog walk. And then the other one is Harry Dog's journey around the Peach State before the season starts. He gets in his dogmobile and drives all over the state. So it's been fun. They're wonderfully illustrated. And the great thing about it is that they are always popular because people keep having children and grandchildren.
And the players probably could read them too, right?
Say again?
The players at Auburn could probably read those books too in Georgia.
Yeah. Well,
maybe not at Alabama. Might be too difficult for them.
I won't say.
I see that you're a Democrat and your wife's a Republican. That makes for an interesting household.
Yeah, we kind of cancel each other off. I'm really kind of what you might call a conservative Democrat. I'm a Southern Democrat, the old Southern Democrat, which is pretty conservative. And my wife is even more conservative, and she is a conservative Republican. So, from that standpoint, we cancel each other out.
So politics isn't a dinner conversation topic?
No, my wife is very much into it. She's got a radio show that she does, and she interviews a lot of people. She ran for office herself a couple of times. Fortunately, she got beat. It was one of those circumstances that she should have won, and it happened that she didn't. That was probably good news that she didn't. But anyway, she's very active, and I am too, and politics is part of it.
I mean, politics is big in the South, just like football is.
Oh yeah, it is, and just like football and a lot of other things too. So we enjoy it very much. So.
Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Dooley.